I'm stupid.
Oh, that might have clicked on just before you said that. So, yeah.
Yes, it did.
And now, on with the show.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right, and welcome to a special Sunday live stream edition of Hyperspace Heroes Podcast. This is episode 73, and Scruffy and DB had 72 just a few days ago, where they were running a little wild on the show because they had no adult supervision. And
Well, yeah, okay.
yeah,
Fine.
so
I got nothing.
So we have a special Sunday edition today. And actually, where are my manners? So this is Brown Leader reporting in. All wings report in.
Brown 2 reporting in.
All right, very good, very good. Now that we got the formalities done, so this is a special episode, like I said, episode 73. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. That is Trek Talk in Klingon. We've got a special guest with us today, joining us, actor and model David Jones, who has appeared on Strange New Worlds. Also, he has a new film out that he's in, Thanksgiving, which is on Netflix, horror movies. But first, because DB could not make it, and he is our resident Trek expert, we have a special guest host joining us today. And let me bring her in. Danny from Comics and Cosmetics is joining us today. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me. And I'm going to attempt to pronounce that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yes.
I was the type of Trek nerd that had Klingon for the Galactic Traveler and the dictionary. Whenever you see an H, are any of those H's supposed to be capitalized?
Oh, okay.
Do you know if any of those H's are supposed to be capitalized?
When I put it in an English to Klingon translator, it was all lowercase.
Okay. So normally when the H is capitalized, it's like sound. The H doesn't have like an actual H sound in Klingon. It's a breathy kind of like a grunt or a h. So it'll be like Tlhutlh. Tlhutlh.
All right.
There you go. That's how.
Tlhutlh.
Tlhutlh.
All right.
I'll have to work on it. So
I'm that Star Trek nerd. Okay. So much so that shameless plug, I published this book back when I was a baby, and in it my characters are like, one is a massive Trekker and the other one's kind of making fun of her brother for it. And I talk I talk about Mokbara, which is mentioned in the episode we're talking about today. I talk about that. I talk about how he could speak Klingon, and she's just ripping him for it. Like, it's funny because I'm using personal experiences. I'm doing what Mark Twain told me, right? Which I've been made fun of. So, I sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Don't apologize. That's awesome. We're all about nerddom and geekdom here, so bring it on. Absolutely.
Just rambling.
No, it's all good. You should have seen our last episode talk about rambling.
Come on, it was not that bad. It was
a fun
and
episode.
You know it.
It was a fun episode. I'll be dropping the audio version of that hopefully in the next year or so. But so welcome, Danny.
Thank you.
As we were saying, she is the host and queen of Comics and Cosmetics on YouTube and all of the audio. podcatchers out there. So, but yeah, DB couldn't make it today, so we wanted to bring you on to because we have a special guest with us today. And let's go ahead and bring him in to the show. Mr. David Jones, welcome.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Welcome. So David is a model and an actor. He has appeared on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So we're going to have kind of a Trek-centered, focused episode today. We will be getting around and talking about Bad Batch because that's dropping in a couple days as well. But no, we wanted to. David and I have been talking on Twitter for a little while, or X or whatever it's called, and we wanted to get the opportunity to bring him on, and because it's not often, because I know, David, you started as a fan as well in the fandom, and the opportunity to appear on screen on one of your favorite fandoms is just a beautiful thing, I think, right? And we definitely wanted to bring you on. So, but welcome, David.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Yeah, it's one of the, it's one of the chances in life you got to take, right? To be in, one of the biggest franchises of all time, and to be in the franchise you watched all your life, it means a lot.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we always launch with a couple of questions, and I've got this question for both of you since it's first time for both of you appearing on the show, and David, we're going to start with you, which is normally we ask what is your first, or what does Star Wars mean to you? But because we're kind of focusing on Trek, and we may get around to that, but what does Star Trek mean to you?
Hopefully what the future, of the humanity can turn out to be when everyone can get away from their petty differences and, work to a better future.
Very cool. And since DB's not here to answer the follow-up question, which is, what was your first Trek experience?
I believe, I think it was back in elementary school at the time. I think one of my first episodes I ever saw of Star Trek was from TNG called Best of Both Worlds. The episode with the Borg and Captain Picard getting transformed into Locutus. I think that was my first experience really into Star Trek. I was so young, right? I know my first movie. I can't remember if it was Generations. I can't remember if I ever saw Star Trek Generations in theaters, but I definitely remember First Contact.
Very cool.
Resistance is futile.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
For reasons.
Yes. Danny, let's switch over to you. What does Trek mean to you?
Comfort.
Okay.
It's always my comfort watch, when I'm in the downy dumps or whatever. I'll just rewatch The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine, but it's a comfort. It was something I did with my late brother, something we did with our dad. That's how we bonded as a family. So it's kind of like a comfort. I don't know how else to explain it.
No,
it's a comfort.
That's
great.
an excellent explanation.
Right. And what was your first Trek experience?
I was thinking about that when you were asking David, and I'm thinking, Jesus, I'm old. One of your first Star Trek movies was First Contact. I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child.
Well, no, that's not old yet. Motion picture was mine. So
see, my dad was a big Trek nerd, and so I know I've watched Star Trek since before I have conscious memory, but my first real solid memory of Trek, the one that I can, recall instantly, is going to see The Voyage Home with my dad in the theaters. I was 4 and I remember this. Star Trek, The Voyage Home. They went to save the whales, man. And you know what? They did. Mm-hmm. They have successfully saved the whales. Everyone on this planet right now needs to thank William Shatner, Horace Kelly, all of them. It worked. They found the nuclear vessels, and they created transparent aluminum. Like, it was not for naught. It's all real. hello, computer, we've got it. We win. But I remember that all so vividly, so well. I've noticed your use of colorful metaphors since we've arrived at this time, Captain. In a damn minute. There's so much gold in that movie that I was 4 when I saw it in the theater, and I could never have watched it again. And I quote all that stuff to you. Like that made an impression on tiny widow baby Danny. Like that was my life after that. Like that's it. This is all I want is Spock making people turn down the music on the bus.
That's awesome.
Like this is what I need.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We've also had some people join us in the chat. Rural Farm Boy, of course, Brown 5 is standing by. Rural Spotchka, how you doing? And he wanted to let you know that he is the same kind of nerd, but with Arabesh. And I think anybody that follows him on Twitter knows that for well. And he wants to also state that it's Twitter, not X. And then DB actually chimed in really quick. Scruffy, and he just wants you to know he says Trek. So
I caught that.
Twix.
Twix.
I caught that.
Yeah. Oh, Twix. I do like Twix. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Twix.
I do kind of
I
like
like
that. So David, let's Danny, do you want to kind of go with the first question or for
Okay,
David?
yeah, absolutely. I had one that popped into my head. Every time someone introduces you as model actor David Jones, the first thing I need to know is Blue Steel. Can you do it, and will you show us?
Not on camera.
Then how do you do it if it's not on camera? Isn't there always a camera when you're modeling?
Luckily, I've not done that since I got into acting very much. So
Now, you posted some pictures the other day. It looked very Blue Steel to me. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We don't have to talk about it. Are you working on your Magnum? Is that going to be revealed at some point?
what did Jonathan Price have on his shirt? Don't ask me. I signed a non-disclosure.
I signed an NDA. That's great. Good answer.
Good answer. So tell us. So David, how did you get into acting?
So I've had friends for years bug me and say, you have the looks, you have the BIPOC look that Hollywood seems to be going with right now for the last couple of years. You've done modeling, why don't you take it to this camera? It's a lot of film. Most of the stuff films in Toronto. The Boys, Reachers, most of the Star Treks, et cetera, et cetera. So there's plenty of opportunity, right? And I've been procrastinating for years, I'll do it next year, yada, yada, yada. Then COVID happened. And actually, I saw an interview. I saw we were talking about off screen, a casting call for Gotham Knights. And I'm like, why not? Well, let's do it now. Let's finally jump into it. I was actually supposed to play a Gotham City police officer in that pilot episode, but I can't remember what was going on. It was Easter weekend where they were shooting the pilots. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not trying to navigate downtown Toronto on Easter weekend of all times. So I put it off. My agent at the time said, well, they're filming on Tuesday. And do you want to work on it then and in city closer to you? And I'm like, oh, what the hell? Let's do it. And that was actually it. It was Gotham Knights that got the itch going, but it was really Star Trek that gave me the acting bug. And it's been quite an experience since.
Very cool. Very cool. Scruffy, did you have?
So we know you had a role in Star Trek, the Strange New Worlds. What was that like? What was to actually be there in the franchise you love?
Surreal. Like I've watched this since 1996. I'll see if I have. This is one of the earliest photos of me at wearing a Data costume. I think that was 1996. My grandma made that for me when I was a kid, and I still have the phaser in that photo too, right here.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I'm so jealous of that phaser.
So she made it for me. Unfortunately, my grandma passed away during those early months of COVID. So she never got to see me put on the real outfit because she made that for me from scratch. So it was pretty surreal. Like initially, I was supposed to actually play in Orion, and I think it was on that episode where Captain Pike goes back to Rigel 7. I think because that was the only real
That
one
was the
besides
episode
the.
before when Boimler and Mariner show up. That's my favorite.
So I was supposed to go to, I think it was the Rigel 7 episode that I was supposed to play in Orion. Thankfully, I think something like I had another job at the time working in telecommunications. So I had scheduling conflicts, stuff like that. So something happened. I can't remember what it was. I think it was scheduling conflicts. Then I saw a casting call from my agent saying, wounded soldier option for Strange New Worlds. So I jumped at it. Obviously, I didn't know if I was playing like a human, a Klingon, Ferengi, or whatever. And it was during COVID, so there was, especially up in Canada, there was still a lot of restrictions in place, especially in the film industry, right? So I was trying to avoid people left, right, and center. You catch any flu bugs, whatever, you're gone. So I was trying to avoid people like the plagues. It's Star Trek. It could be a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? So when I go to my costume fitting for the first time, you see the big CBS All Access posters for Star Trek Discovery and all that fun stuff. So I walk in there and I see the patch on my jacket where it says USS Enterprise. I nerded out. So I'm like, I'm here. This is finally happening. Let's go.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
I did, like I initially did for a little bit because again, my grandma made me that costume and she never got to see me put on the real thing. And then obviously walking on the sets, I'm a big Trekkie. I'm a big Star Wars fan as well too. So I would do the exact same thing if I'm ever on their sets. I was hoping to see the bridge of the USS Enterprise, and to this day, I still haven't seen it yet because it was in a different part of the building that I did not have access to. I'm like, come on.
Oh,
come on. What an episode for you to enter the Trek universe, man. Like that is a phenomenal, deep, complex, just engaging episode. It's phenomenal. And your role in it really your character had a huge effect on Chapel and Mbenga, because you're dying and they've got more incoming. Like, what do we do with you? And like, well, okay, we'll put him in the transporter buffer and we'll just hold him there until we get, the organ generator that we need. We're like, okay. And then wait, no, there's more coming in. What do we do?
Exactly. Yeah. The writing on that, that episode was brilliant.
It was wonderful. That for you to be a very new actor and a lifelong Trek fan, to get to enter in this universe, not just as, wounded soldier, but wounded soldier that causes a conflict of conscience for Chapel and Mbenga, the main characters. You are now in Trek history. You're canon. Like that's really cool. Good for you. Congratulations.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me though. That the person that they were trying to seal up and they put in the transporter. That wasn't me though. That was somebody else.
Oh. I thought that was you. I saw the silver hair and I'm like, wait, that's him, right?
Nope. I was on the move. I was on the Klingon planet. I was one of the special forces guys.
Yeah.
But I was one of the special forces guys that survived the Klingons. So I'm taking bragging rights that I survived the Klingons. I'm one of the few that ever survived the Klingons. I'm like, let's go. Bring me back for season 3 or season 4, please. Let's continue my story.
Now we all know 2 more things about this show. I was wrong, but it was beneficial.
So David did send me a kind of a short little sizzle reel. It's about 18 seconds. And David, can you tell us real quick as we what to watch for in this little video clip?
Sure. So basically, it's when they're on the moon of Jagal, just before Mbenga's little protege goes off to, before they go off and fight the Klingons. I should appear on the screen, using all the dial pads and playing in all the battle planes and stuff like that. Then you see us coming out where, when Mbenga is talking with Nurse Chapel, you see all the special forces guys come out of the barracks there as well too. And then after their little sparring scene between Dr. Mbenga and the Klingon ambassador when he's having PTSD in the sonic shower. I'm the main guy using the transporter pad coming back after surviving the battle with the Klingons. It's hard to see because they framed it so quickly, but when you stop it right on spot, yeah, you can see me because there's all the prosthetics they put on me and stuff like that. I'm like, it's cool. I'm in Star Trek.
That's very
That's
cool. Okay,
awesome.
let's watch that really quick. Very cool.
Oh, that
Very
looks
cool.
awesome.
I'm gonna have to. I did have Paramount Plus for a while, and I did catch up on like Discovery and Strange New Worlds before season 2 came out, and I'm gonna have to renew that now just to watch season 2. I think because I think out of all the new shows, Strange New Worlds is probably my favorite for sure.
Agreed.
Strange New Worlds has come out of the gate since the first season. It's been a banger of a back. It's how season 2 goes. You know, it can go from the lightest episode to the completely opposite, going completely light to dark, and they pulled it off so well.
They did. And I have to say, to me, it feels like the most Trek. It feels like Trek to me. I'm sorry, but Discovery does not feel like Trek to me. I won't get into it. I won't get into it, but it doesn't quite feel like Trek to me. Strange New Worlds, absolutely. Season 3 of Picard, masterclass. But as a season, I mean, as a series, Strange New Worlds, it's not only, feeling like Trek. It's not only a good show, all, well-rounded good show, but it just makes the most sense to me as a Trek series. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why haven't we been doing this before? Why have we been trying to reinvent the wheel? Why don't we just go back to what works?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, we used to have a kind of a running joke that Orville was probably the most Trek thing out there until they came out with Strange New Worlds, and I agree. I think I get the same vibe off Strange New Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. And I will say that I am very jealous of Pike's hair. And
oh my God, Captain Daddy, yeah.
Daddy.
I know a few friends, so like a lot of my also background friends actually were part of other episodes as well too. Like I've had friends who are part of Spock Amok, Tomorrow, at Espera as well too. Like I know a lot of people that have actually got to work with Ethan Peck, and they all said he was fantastic.
Seems like it.
Yeah, he's a big Trek nerd too.
Yeah.
And he's very excited to be there. Like if you watch anything, you pay attention to his social media at all, or any interviews he does, or just randomly talking to fans, he's just like, I'm just happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yay. That's what I think what really sells it about. That's the thing about Star Trek. Let me just preface with that. That's the thing about Star Trek is they have a very, very deep connection with their fans. There's a very blurred line between where the shows of Star Trek stop and fans end, because Star Trek, as far as I know, pardon me, is the only IP out there that not only allows fan fiction, but they celebrate it, encourage it, and have even bought fan fiction scripts before and used them. They love fan films. They love fan scripts. They love their fans. They have a very, very close relationship with them. So they seem to really seek out new actors that are really Trek fans, and it is absolutely apparent in shows like Strange New Worlds, because they get people like David here and Ethan Peck and Jack Quaid. How do you not love him as Boimler? He's the
Yeah.
best, and he loves Star Trek. That is why I believe Star Trek is winning this reinvigorating an IP game. They're winning it because they love their fans and they listen to them and they make their fans a part of what is happening. And I think if Star Wars would do more of that, they'd have an easier time.
Possibly, yeah. Well, but you also know how divisive we can be. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans,
This
right?
is true.
That is true. Yeah.
I've been telling you.
Sadly, I'd love to have a big argument about it, but I just can't.
Yeah, no, I think I think you've got something there in the fact that, and the other thing that Trek has, I've told these guys from time to time, is one thing that Star Trek hasn't been afraid to do is recast.
Yes.
And they've moved on. You know, they bit that bullet a while ago and they moved on from it. We've had I don't know how many Spocks. We've had, you know, a couple Captain Kirks now. We've had a couple Pikes.
I think 3 Pikes, 3 Spocks, 2 Kirks, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Nice.
3 Kirks, right? Because
Yeah.
of
Oh yeah, because we've got what's his face. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, he's a good actor, but I don't know why all them little girls were going crazy for him on Vampire Diaries. I just don't. No.
Okay. But yeah, so they haven't been afraid to do that, and even there, I forgot my other point now that I was going to bring up, which was yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. All right, but yeah, they, like you said, they listen to the fans. And David, what was it like? What was the you mentioned the fitting process? What was that process like going in and getting fitted?
Oh, imagine walking into a Halloween store and there's all your favorite costumes hanging up. You know, there's the gold uniforms, the red uniforms, the whites, the blues, yada yada yada. Billboards of, you know, all the rank insignias. This is real. This isn't a Party City or a Halloween store. I was nerding right out. So like, yeah, you can tell the wardrobe people knew, you know, this wasn't just a regular job for me. They could tell that I was a Star Trek fan. It was special. Like, this is real. This isn't a Halloween store. This is the real stuff. So I was just touching everything and just geeking right out. I enjoyed every minute of it.
So, and I know one of the things I appreciate is when productions pay attention to detail. I mean, the fine detail. And I remember when you were on Scarif and you were talking about the boots. And can you talk about those?
The boots were comfortable. Like, there was a little nitpick that some of the Star Trek fans caught on to in my episode. Like, they saw the U.S. Enterprise patches and they were like, wait, the Enterprise isn't here? They're not part of the Klingon War. But that's the joys of, you know, 8K resolution. You can pick up these notice with little thing changes, right?
Production was just trying to save like $2.50. Like, give us a break.
But yeah, it's hard. Like, it's hard. You can tell when franchises care, because they check everything, you know, to make sure everything looks. David Blast was like that for season 3 of Picard. I was at a recent meetup with him at Christmas, and he was saying, you know, oh no, this needs to look like this because you need to look like how it looked like all those years ago. So you can tell the people that run in the show, they cared.
Yes,
and that's what makes the difference now, where you can see one franchise doing so well with it, and other franchises not doing so well.
That I was very extremely lucky, fortunate to be able to sit down with Dave Blass, Todd Stashwick, who was Captain Shaw, and Neville Page, who was the head concept designer for the show. Todd and Neville both told me that Dave was like the resident Star Trek authority on set for Discovery, because he does Discovery too. The crew of Strange New Worlds will reach out to Dave and ask him questions like, can we use this? Can we put this here? Dave would be like, dude, no, you cannot. When I spoke to him, he was in his study and everything behind him was Trek. everything, books, anything you could think of, any memorabilia, it was all there. I love that they hired these people. Like they care about canon, they care about what they're putting out there. And I think, again, I'll just read that is why Star Trek is doing so much better with the fans right now, with numbers in general, than Wars.
Yes, speaking of Shaw, I would love to see more about Shaw. I Stashwick did a great job, and I think I think what I was going to touch on before was like with Strange New Worlds, it just seems like the cast is having fun.
Yes.
And that energy comes through the performances.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I would love to see a Shaw, like maybe a well, I hate to use the word prequel, but
I told him they need to have one because he always looked like, I was like, you look like the dad who just wants to take a nap. Like he just sat down, he just got in his recliner, he's unlaced his boots, and he's getting ready to like slide it off his heel. And then the kids come in, they're like, Dad! And he's like, no,
No.
not right now. So I told him his show needs to be Captain Shaw and the quest for a nap.
That would be hilarious.
He's awesome. He said that him and Terry Metalis actually spoke about how they would bring him back and it would be dope, but he would not tell me what that was. I'm like, well, then there's no need for this interview to continue. Sorry.
All right. So speaking of questions, I got a fun one. We'll go round table really quick. So since we're on track,
warned you I'm the worst.
Favorite captain. So Kirk, Pike, Cisco, Picard, Janeway, Archer, and we'll start with you, David.
Oh, again, I'm a sucker for the original Captain Kirk era uniforms, and I hope I can wear those one day on a real Star Trek show. But I grew up with Picard. I'm torn between Picard and Kirk. I love Cisco. Cisco did a great job. I think they need to bring him back, finish up the DS9 era. It's got to be Picard, though. Like, that was such a unique casting, and look how well it's paid off.
Very cool. Scruffy. I know this is your area of expertise.
Captain Han Solo.
Oh, burn.
No, Kirk. Shatner's the man. I love that original Star Trek. Yeah, I make a lot of comments that I don't like Star Trek. I kind of do. I've never been a fan of the TV shows, but I love the movies. The movies have always been some of my favorites. They're sitting on the shelf right next to the Star Wars movies. There is a space in between them about this far, and if anybody upsets me, I just push them together and create this giant nerd wormhole and devour the universe. But it's always been Captain Kirk, man.
Very cool. Danny.
Cisco. And David, I'm disappointed in you because last time you said Cisco and I was like, yes, we can be friends.
Yes, we can be friends.
He needs to return. He needs to return and finish the story.
I have been tagging Alex Kurtzman and Terry Metalis for a year now. Like, listen, Avery Brooks brought something. He brought like a smoothness to the captain's chair. He, not just that, he's the only dad. He's the only dad of all the captains. So he had bit of an internal, this could hurt my son, or I could die and not be there for my son. And he's already lost his mom. There was something about Cisco that he was just a dad. He brought that father figure to the position of captain. He was firm yet fair, and you could tell he cared about you. And
he was ready for a fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When that's the thing. That's the dad thing. Your dad is your role model and the one you talk to when you've got a problem, but you do not want to take him off. Like, anytime your mom said, "Do I need to call your father?" You're like, "Nope.
Nope.
Nope, you sure don't. That's Cisco. That's what I love about Cisco. And listen, Avery Brooks just really brought this class to it. And of course, Sir Pat Stew, he's a knight for crying out loud. But there is something about Avery Brooks, he brings an American class to it,
Mm.
I don't know how else to describe it, but and it looked good too. So Benjamin Sisko for the win, ladies and gentlemen.
Very cool. Very cool. I was always kind of a Janeway fan. I thought Voyager was kind of an underrated show as far as the Treks got. I really enjoyed Voyager and the concept of it. But nowadays I'd have to go with Pike just because of the hair, because I'm super like that. And
My dad always said he felt like Voyager was more Trek than Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, because the whole point was to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. And that's exactly what Voyager was doing. On the flip side, Voyager is actually my least favorite. So,
so
You like Discovery more than Voyager?
no. So maybe Discovery is my least favorite. You got me there.
Okay, so I want to touch back on David with you on acting. What are your inspiration? Who are your role models? Who are your inspirations for acting?
As being a model, in the past, honest opinion, it's got to be James Bond. You have that smooth, sophisticated, badass British Secret Service agent. He could be in the most dapper suits and look, the fine. You could look fantastic, and then yet you can put a bullet between your eyes and, at a moment's hesitance. So it's got to be James Bond. Again, I've grown up a British family member, so Bond has always been a big thing in my family. So yeah, it's got to be 007.
Which
I've always wanted to be in a 007, so hopefully one day as well too.
Very cool.
Which Bond?
I grew up with Goldeneye, so Brosnan was my first Bond. But honest opinion, if they're going to redo 007, good luck trying to get better than what Daniel Craig did.
My boyfriend and I, who's a big Bond person, had this talk the other day, and you remember George Lazenby?
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite Bond right there. I love him. Well, he mentioned this Australian actor, and now because I'm talking live, I can't remember who the F it was. But I was like, if it worked before, let's get another Australian in here. And it's really annoying that I can't remember who the actor was. I'm sorry I even started talking. Continue.
No, that's okay. And you know what? When you remember it, we'll touch back on it.
Honest opinion, though, after The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I give it to Henry Cavill. I know they don't like putting these big actors into these iconic roles, but after seeing him in Man from U.N.C.L.E., Mission Impossible, Henry Cavill could do a job.
Yeah, I completely agree, but he's just been cast as Captain Britain, so I think he's...
Yeah, that's the rumors, right?
That'd be pretty cool. I was always, always got to give homage to Connery, but being the original. But Daniel Craig, I was definitely a Daniel Craig guy, and I thought he was he carried a little bit of that Connery, that raw physicalness to the role. That's
the problem. How are you gonna switch and do a new Bond after what Daniel Craig just did?
After he dies. Question.
Maybe, I was saying to a few friends, maybe they should go around like the Continental did with Wick, start doing spin-offs with different characters.
Yeah. I don't know.
It doesn't bother me.
That's a interesting question, but I think too the one thing that's kind of held the Bond franchise together is the consistency. Yes, Danny.
I remember who it was. It was Sam Worthington.
Oh, I saw that post. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
But Sam Worthington, he's Australian, and he can do action, and he looks like Bond. Like, come on. Let's just throw that option out there.
There's some potential there. Yeah. I saw that post on social media and I didn't disagree. That's for sure.
So, David, quick question for you. I'll going back a little bit. So on your uniforms and stuff that you wore in Strange New Worlds, did you get to keep anything?
I wish. So wardrobe are very meticulous. Like I almost accidentally walked off with my phaser on my hip and I didn't realize it.
Accidentally.
Oops.
Accidentally. Yeah, sure. Okay, David.
Well, you have the vests on top of you, and they're heavy as hell to begin with. So it's hard to notice that you're carrying I think it was like a 3D printed phaser on my hip. So I didn't realize I had it on me, but I couldn't have got past wardrobe anyways because you have to give your costumes back. But yeah, I wish. I even told them, well, you can keep my paycheck if I can keep something. They're like, sorry, bud.
Sorry, we got to save money.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, because I think the boots alone were going online for like $800.
So somebody snuck out with the boots.
I'm not. I doubt it, but I remember seeing, because I think they brought out that Heroes Within group, where they do replica jackets of other stuff. But I think they brought out some Strange New Worlds boots, and they were retailing for like $900, $800. So they couldn't have been too far off.
Who has that kind of disposable income in this economy? Like, no, I've got
just look behind Scruffy's back there.
And how's that song? I have $30,000 in credit card debt.
Have you seen the old, like they actually have there were memos and receipts written about this. They've sent William Shatner invoices for this, but he kept keeping the toupees that they made for him on the show. Like, he never returned them. They were like, we need that back. Like, I've seen the actual memos.
That's hilarious.
And invoices they charge him. He's like, no, I'm not paying for that. You made it for my head. You use it for somebody else? I mean, he's got a point.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can just collect dust.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Any other questions about Trek? Or comments? And I know what I was going to throw in earlier. The other thing that I appreciate about Trek, especially Strange New Worlds, is they brought body armor into sci-fi finally, because when they go on away missions, and I told Scruffy this before, one of the things I appreciate most about Strange New Worlds is when they go on away missions that could be dangerous, they wear body armor. And finally, after how many decades?
Didn't we have like a 20-minute conversation about this once?
I don't know. Have you ever tried to destroy polyester on purpose?
That's true.
Like,
have you ever worn those things? They are heavy.
Yeah.
So are all the red shirts and the original Star Trek not polyester then?
Probably not.
Because this guys die pretty quick and easy.
They got the hand-me-down stuff.
Oh, there you go.
We did an episode on the 1980 Flash Gordon film a few weeks back, and we were watching a documentary about it. And the costumes in that film, like Ming's outfit was like 70 pounds that he had to wear. I mean, it was, and the headdresses were not like paper mache. They were like, and they didn't have 3D printing, and those were like full material headdresses that just weighed a ton on those actors and actresses. It was pretty crazy.
The Mandalorian suit, like Din Djarin's suit, stupid heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my son. I hope everyone's enjoying my son's allergies.
It's all good. I did want to.
We'd all suffer though if we could put on a stormtrooper outfit or Mandalorian outfit.
Stormtrooper doesn't weigh nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why they're so easy to kill.
Before we move on from Trek, I wanted in the chat, Rural Farm Boy said he was schooled in the original series when he turned 21. Next Gen came out, and that was his gen's Trek.
Yes.
And then he said that is kind of came from his mom. His mother was an OG Trek nerd. So
nice.
Getting it sounds like a lot of us got it from our parents.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of Trek with my mom as well.
We're all non-denominational legacy nerds.
I like that term. Okay, let's switch over to horror real quick, because David has been in a film called Thanksgiving. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So Thanksgiving was so much fun. We filmed it last year. So originally it was a fake movie trailer that was in Grindhouse in 2007 by Eli Roth. That fake trailer became so popular over the years, they finally were bugging him, turn into a real movie, et cetera, et cetera. Then it finally happened last year. That was a fun movie.
And what did you play in that film?
So I was one of the Right Mart security guards after the Black Friday massacre. I would kind of wish I wish they would have killed me off, but.
So you're not going to be in the sequel? Darn it.
No, he is.
I did survive. So maybe I'll be a part of the sequel.
Excellent.
But if you're in a horror movie, you want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
True.
For
You
sure.
want that. You want that truly gory death scene.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So, horror fan. What was your favorite horror before?
It's definitely an OG. It's going to have to be the OG 1 and 2 of Halloween. I watch it religiously every Fear Fest on AMC. I've grown up with Silence of the Lambs, The Shining, Freddy Krueger. I never liked Freddy Krueger, to be honest with you, but I love the Jason movies. Obviously, The Omen, stuff like that. I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and I love scaring the kids.
Yes, that's awesome.
It's good for 'em.
John Carpenter's Halloween was iconic. Absolutely loved it. I like the remakes with the Rob Zombie remakes. They're interesting, very much darker version of the movie, but can't beat the original John Carpenter.
No, the first movie was really good by Zombie. That second one I will not discuss the sequel. But I like that you got to see the backstory of Michael Myers. Like they were like the original movies didn't do. It was cool seeing how he became Michael Myers, right? But we won't talk about that sequel.
Yeah, the sequel's a little. Yeah, we're moving on.
But it's cool. But it's cool seeing the original movie though. Like you can see, like I know they said it was super low budget. You can even see John Carpenter smoking it on the set as well too. I never realized that until I saw the behind the scenes when Lori and her friends see Michael Myers driving past him, and you can see his smoke bubbles right off the camera. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That's hilarious. How was it working with Eli Roth?
I remember originally when we started getting the casting calls, they were kind of avoiding who the director was and what the movie was. They were just saying like famous director, stuff like that. So I think they wanted to keep as much of it under wraps. Eli Roth was fantastic though. Like we started shooting at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and we wrapped at 4 o'clock in the morning for that Black Friday massacre scene. He was great. The whole crew, that was one of the best crews I've worked with. Everybody, they wanted to make something special, right? And everybody was fantastic. Eli Roth was great with me because there was quite a few other security guards there as well too, and I was one of the few that get used the whole time. So I'm like, hey, maybe they see something special in me, right?
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So, and since you survived, then of course the sequel, right? There's always the potential for that.
Come on, Eli.
Yeah. And how did you land that role?
So it's just photo casting. You just do it by sending selfies, headshots, and stuff like that. Because they'll say, we're just looking for pedestrians, security guards, et cetera, et cetera. It was one of the few productions that actually let me keep the beard. Everyone else is like, nope, sorry, David, you got to shave everything off, et cetera. But it was fun though. There's all picture casting. You guys submit photos and stuff like that. But like I said, I know they're looking for this BIPOC right now, right? So maybe it's in my favor because I can pull off different nationality looks, right? Because I'm half Arabic, but a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't tell that when I see you." You look either Latin, Greek, whatever. So maybe that's in my favor as well too right now.
That's very cool. What's the typical day like on a set for you when you go? Is there? I'm guessing there's probably a lot of sitting around and waiting.
There is there's been some projects where you're sitting around for a lot of the times, but I know a lot of my friends have been saying recently like you have the hunger about you, so maybe a lot of these productions are starting to see that. I want to work. I don't want to be sitting around for 10 hours doing nothing. And like I said as well too, this BIPOC look that they're all looking for as well too is in my favor. So maybe I just have something that they're all noticed that they're seeing. So I seem to be getting a lot of camera time on a lot of things I've been doing. So you never know, right? Stallone was an extra, Brad Pitt was an extra.
Mhm.
Just gotta be, you just gotta be in the right place at the right time, right?
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Very true.
Absolutely. Very true.
And there's a lot of instant coffee, which is awful.
Jail
I was
coffee on
I
set? Wow.
I was dying. Like we started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for Thanksgiving. And we went till 4 o'clock in the morning. By like 2 o'clock in the morning, I was dying. Like I'm not a night person. I can do mornings, whatever. But yeah, turning it down that instant coffee at like midnight was rough.
So when they're not filming, do they keep you like sequestered in an area, or can you walk around?
So they call
or-
you can like Star Trek were good with me. It's the same with Thanksgiving as well too. I just walk around, stay out of everybody's way, etc. So they keep in what's called a background holding. So they can keep, because again, they don't want people walking off sets and stuff like that, for safety and everything as well too. But I have ADD, so I can't sit around for hours and hours, twiddling my thumb, stuff like that. So I tend to walk around, and maybe this is why we seem to be getting a lot of camera time, because they can tell that, I'm hungry, I want to do more, I'm here, use me, right?
That's very cool. So have you ever been, and you don't have to answer this if it'll get you in trouble, but have you like snuck off to see other sets or anything like that? And while you're on scene?
Luckily, no. Like most of it's, a lot of my stuff's been on scene, so you can't just, you can walk off, go get a coffee and stuff like that. But there's usually never been another production going at the same time with a different production.
Okay. All right.
But a lot of the streams, a lot of the Star Trek one were nice. Like even if we're off camera, just be quiet, enjoy.
So I'm assuming Thanksgiving was probably on scene, out in the real world when it was filming. Quick question about Trek. What was Trek on scene, or did you, the volume is getting to be used more and more for sets and so on. And what was the stage setup like for Trek?
So we were on that what they call, I know they call it in Star Trek the AR wall. The green screen technology now that they're using on the Mandalorian sets.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were had, because we had to be on a different planet, so it was all that green screen technology. It's really cool being there to see it really in place, right? But it's hot. It puts off a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Especially back then, we had to still wear N95s and face shields too, right? Because it was still COVID times, so it was just making it even more and more hotter too, right? But it was cool. It was nice to see that technology in front of your face and see how it works.
And how did that affect your process?
How do you mean exactly?
Like your acting process? Like
none. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, like, instead of being at an actual location or having nothing but a green screen behind you, but now you've got like you can see the planet, all of that. I was just curious, like, does that change your mindset when approaching the scene?
Not really. But it makes me think back to, like, say the Attack of the Clones. All those actors who had to use green screens and they didn't know, how to fake everything, right? So imagine if they had this technology back then, how much, they would work probably better than what Attack of the Clones looked like, right?
Oh, they still would have been ripped apart by fans.
Sure. Well, look how fast a lot of Wars fans turned on the whole volume, using the volume.
Oh yeah.
What a great a great piece of technology. And yeah, like you said, in a year they were already like, and complaining
why are you
about it.
using this so much?
Right.
We don't sound like that.
Never.
But it was cool though. So, like, you've seen all the briefcases that had the Starfleet badges and Federation of Planets. I was just nerding out. Like this, I was a kid in a candy store, so not much could have brought me down.
Right, for sure. Any other questions about the horror side of things, Scruffy or Danny?
Yes. What was your favorite kill scene? Your favorite death scene?
Ooh.
In Thanksgiving?
Do you have, or anyone? Did you have a favorite?
Thanksgiving, I think, was the most cringe that I still enjoyed to this day for Thanksgiving is when, spoiler alert, can I do a spoiler alert if people haven't seen Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The mom when she's carved out as a turkey, stepmom. I'm like, oh my God, this is over the top. Eli Roth did his death scenes over the top in Thanksgiving. How in Halloween, the original movies? Ooh, what's my favorite death scene in the Halloween movies? Ooh, I don't know. That whole franchise was good. Um, it's got to be in the first movie when they killed off the boyfriend and girlfriend in the house. Uh, when he comes out through the closet door and stabs him.
Yes. Yes, I remember that scene. That thing was awesome. Yeah,
Halloween 2. I'm not sure on Halloween 2, the second movies. That was maybe maybe the explosion scene at the end in the operating room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I cannot
How about
wait to
yours?
see Thanksgiving now. I have got to see that tonight.
What about yours? What's your favorite death scenes in horror movies or?
House of Wax. Has anybody seen that House of Wax?
Which version? The original Vincent Price or
no, the redo with
Paris Hilton one?
Yes.
Right.
Have you guys seen it though?
No,
not yours.
On purpose.
No. Well, I was bored one day, and I was sitting around
go.
the house, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen this remake of this yet, so I watched it, and it wasn't a great movie, but it had its moments, because who didn't like the death scene of Paris Hilton? I mean, it was awesome. I'm ashamed to say it, and I don't know if I should say it on camera, but I jumped off the couch and screamed, "That's awesome!"
Oh, Scruffy. Oh, all right. I didn't think this show was going to go quite this way, but okay. All right. Paris Hilton. Right. Okay. Let's move on to something a little more happy. Let's say.
We're all smiling.
Right. Any other questions about the horror side of things from anybody?
My favorite death scene in Silence of the Lambs is the angel scene where Hannibal Lecter cuts the cop open and it just exposes it. I'm like, oh my God, that still bugs me to this day.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome too.
For sure.
All right.
So let's transition over into we were going to talk about in 3 days from now, because we're all science fiction fans and nerds and geeks. We are going to get Bad Batch season 3, the final season. So just let's go round table really quick and just kind of thoughts on the Bad Batch series overall and what you're hoping to see out of season 3. Scruffy, let's start with you.
I absolutely love it. I love to hear these backstories, these of different characters. You know, Star Wars doesn't have to be about the Jedi wielding the lightsaber. There's just a plethora of characters there to use, and I love to hear these backstories. I know, right? I get my nerd point of the day. Thank you.
Plethora. There you go.
Plethora. I want to know what's going on with Tech. He can't be dead. I'm really bummed about the passing. Oh, stop it! I'm really bummed about the passing of Tech. Love the character. A little bit of crushing, and I'm hoping we finally get to see some armor for Omega.
Oh, I forgot about that hashtag. We'll have to get that going again. Hashtag
going.
armor for Omega. David.
I'm curious to see. It looks like they're going to bring the Dark Disciple book into. Is it still, or is it uncanon? They're going to bring it into canon now with Asajj Ventress. I'm curious to see if they adopt the whole story. I got a haunting suspicion Darth Vader's probably going to kill them all.
Wouldn't that be something? Crazy.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Danny.
Can I just point out that you said let's move on to happier things, and And now we're talking about Bad Batch season 3 where everyone's gonna die.
I did say that. Yes. Yes. That's funny.
I'm stoked to see Ventress. Somehow Ventress returned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see her. I just love Kiwi accents, so I'll just watch the show and repeat to practice my Kiwi because that is my goal, is to perfect my Kiwi accent one day and then just disappear to New Zealand.
There we go.
Omega.
Yeah. Omega.
I'm looking forward to it. And I'm like you, I like exploring these backstories. I've said this so many times. Like you hit the nail on the head. There are so many characters to explore. And Star Wars is so unique in the respect that it is so expansive. There is so much to it at this point that there is no reason why we can't have subgenres in this. Like, it doesn't have to be liked by every single Star Wars fan. Like, well, maybe you like Star Wars romance, maybe you like Star Wars comedy, etc., etc. There's just so much to it that there's no reason why we can't really dive deep into these characters' backstories, especially in the world of Mandalorians and all of that. I think Mandalorians have the most fascinating and interesting history, culture, religion. I mean, if you read the legends, holy shnikes, Batman, this stuff is so in depth. Like how it all started with the Tong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's come on, give me more. Give me more. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think they should keep this trend up. Like, Bad Batch is only getting 3 seasons. We're not all that, how do I put it? We're not angry that there's only 3 seasons. Are we a little disappointed? Maybe, but we can always rewatch it. Do it like that. Don't do like serious, long, extended seasons of these things. Like, give us a couple seasons of the history of Dantooine, the history of this, and so on and so forth. Teach us about it as we go. Not like in the Marvel universe where you have to watch 43 movies to understand what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like, it doesn't have to
it is.
all be connected. It could just be like, here's a brief little keyhole on ...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look at the success of the Ahsoka series, and I'm sure people will be saying, like, give us the backstory of Balin Skull right after his
Yeah.
performances,
Yes,
right? Let's
and-
see that.
You're
let's
just
see
saying
in
that
Tales of
because
the
someone
Jedi.
told you could play young Balin Skull.
Yes.
Oh, he could. Yeah.
I saw the post from Scarif about with the picture of you and Balin. You would make an awesome young Balin Skull.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, Star Wars. Come on, Dave Filoni.
Come on, Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Tales of the Jedi about Balin's skull. I think
Yes.
I think that'd
Absolutely.
be pretty cool.
It will
And
probably be done now. It will probably be done now after his character's success. I'm sure we'll see that sometime.
Got to. And you can tell so much. That's what I love about Star Wars animation is you can tell so much more of an expansive story than you can in live action. And I forget who said it, but yeah, going in depth in some of these characters. I thought season 2 had probably some of the best Star Wars storytelling of 2023 in terms of overall shows. I think it gave us the most depth on stuff. And I'm about 65% of the way through the Christy Golden book right now, Dark Disciple. They have said that it's still canon and that it's going to all work together in the end. I haven't gotten to the spoiler part of it yet, which is what everybody's questioning with the trailer for Bad Batch 3. But I will say this about the book. Bosk, all he had to do was pull the trigger and he would have ended the Clone Wars. That's all I'm saying. There's a part in that book and Christy, I know you're listening, so if you want to come on and talk about that book, you have an open invitation.
we please give us Mara Jade and be done with it. We'll shut up. I promise you.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
please give us Mara Jade. Give us that story. Do it in animation. We don't care.
Right.
Just give us Mara Jade, you cowards.
Well,
Absolutely.
If they're going the route of a Filoni version of Heir to the Empire, there's still always that chance, with the Mando Avengers movies. So,
Preach.
work her in, even if it's just a side part, that's fine. Just give it to her. Give it to her.
You know
give
what?
Her to us in canon.
We've always said there's no reboots or resets in Star Wars, but I am totally effing cool with Filoni using the World Between Worlds to go back, get Mara Jade, and erase the sequels. There, I said it. There goes a dislike. Everyone's unfollowing.
But I like Kylo Ren, so I wouldn't want to see him get disappeared. I think I want to see more Adam Driver. I really do. It's a shame if he doesn't come back, but even his SNL skits, the undercover bosses, they were great.
That undercover boss was awesome.
The undercover boss was the best thing about Kylo Ren to me. Like
that is a little tough
every
for me to
time I
disagree with. Yes.
every time I saw him in the sequels, all I could think of was Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy.
JD,
Oh, yeah.
I am a robot. I have a robot.
Oh, Danny, we need to have a whole show on the sequels here.
Yay!
What we think about the sequels here.
Oh.
So what's your thoughts on the Acolyte?
I'm looking forward to it. Actually,
I'm very excited.
my private people I talk to, they've shown me some pretty cool stuff. And the trailer teaser that leaked last year looked dope.
Yeah,
It looked so good. We have been fooled before.
True.
Yes, we
I
have.
always withhold my final judgment on everything until I see it for myself.
yeah.
That's how that goes. I don't pee on anything until I can see where I'm aiming, if that makes
If,
sense.
Wow, that's
if
my
Filoni's
new
doing
motto.
if Filoni's doing though, I trust him.
The thing
Absolutely
is,
trust them, yes.
I'll give you guys some straight dope from when I was out in Burbank. I actually met with, and it's funny how it happened because I was with a friend, and because I was with this very specific person, they instantly thought I was somebody. And so it's okay to talk about these things in front of her. She works on set. I'm like, so go on.
Sorry.
So I'm going to tell you right now, nobody likes Kathleen. Nobody likes her. Nobody that works on Star Wars can stand this woman. They call her the traitor. She's never there. She's never on set. I don't know why they do these behind the scenes. The only time she's there is when they do the behind the scenes where you see her. Because she's like, we have to make sure I look good. Make sure I look interested. They don't like her. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. George has checked out. He checked out a long time ago. He doesn't want to do this anymore. That's why he sold it. He's older now. He's a family man. He's always been a family man. Like, that's why him and Linda Ronstadt never got married, because he wanted kids and she's like, no, I do not. But he's checked out. He's not interested in it. Okay. He's just not. And that frustrates Filoni. That's why they've put Filoni in charge of all this stuff, because when I was out there a year ago, Filoni was seen by everyone on set throwing a fit. Like, not like, I'm throwing a tantrum. Like, it was frustration. And it had finally consumed him so much that it boiled over. And his exact words were, George, he doesn't even know what he's talking about anymore. I'm the one who's always having to correct him about his own characters. He doesn't even know the stories anymore. George is out of it. He's not interested. Filoni is Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Is Star Wars.
Absolutely.
George handpicked him for a reason, because George doesn't want to do it anymore. So if anyone else starts to say, we just need Lucas back, we need George to buy it back. No, you don't.
No,
No, you don't.
he's tired. He's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
if I had
That's what we're
14 billion,
supposed to do.
if I had $14 billion, I'd be retired too.
Yeah, and it's not just besides the lump sum he got from selling Star Wars, he still has what? Lucasfilm? He has ILM, he has royalties. This man has more money than anyone you know. He doesn't have to do anything ever again.
A lot of
He's
people have
done.
more money than I know.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. Let old people retire. They shouldn't be in office and they shouldn't be in charge of anything anymore because they're tired, they're sore, they're crabby, and we're hungry. Okay? So just
That's funny.
let the elderly be elderly, for the love of God.
One of the graces I'll say for Filoni is he brought Ahmed Best back in Hayden and gave him one hell of a return.
He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
He knows what he's doing, and he is constantly frustrated by what higher ups instruct him on what his creative process should be, and I don't blame him.
I think Filoni is, possibly the best chance of kind of something you touched on at the beginning of this episode, Danny, which was he's a fan himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's an uber nerd in the Star Wars culture, and he's probably a little closer to understanding what fans are looking for than some of the other people working on stuff, for Star Wars. And having him as the creative director or whatever his title is now is it's probably a good thing because he can have more of a guiding hand in that kind of the overall projects. And to answer your question, David, from earlier, I'm looking forward to Acolyte. I'm looking forward to see them bring more High Republic into mainstream. There's a whole I've dipped my toe a little bit into High Republic by reading the first 3 books of Phase 1, but there's a lot of potential there, and I think there's a lot of potential that's a lot of mainstream fans that have not touched on High Republic. That I think there's a whole new fan base that if you do it right, and and hopefully with the Acolyte as the introduction point to the live action version, you can bring more of those mainstream fans into that era.
Yeah, same here. It'd be a missed opportunity though. In that, is it a movie or a TV series? It's a TV series, right?
TV series.
Yeah. It'd be a missed opportunity if we don't see a certain Sith Lord and Sith Apprentice. You know who we're all talking about?
Revan?
No, Sidious and his master, Darth Plagueis. It'll be a missed opportunity if we don't see those two in this.
It's way before that.
Well, this is 100 years, right?
It's like 150, 200 years before the prequels.
Yeah, I think they said it's 100 or something like that, right? But it'd be a missed opportunity if we have to see.
I think Plagueis is a possibility since he's been able to extend his life over generations. So I think that's they have to be careful with it though, because not that Star Wars is afraid to retcon, but they said it's been 1,000 years in the prequels. They talked about it being over 1,000 years since they had seen any Sith. So it would definitely have to be all behind the scenes, subtle.
Cloaking back.
Isn't that the rumors of this though? Is that we're going to see the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order and turn them into the Jedi Order that we're going to see in the prequels, like the ones that are more politics stuff like that? Isn't that the rumor with the Acolyte?
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
I've heard a lot of different rumors, and I just kind of ignored them because one of the things we've all experienced over the last few years is, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do this, and then we promise this. It'll release on May 5th, and then it doesn't exist. So I kind of started ignoring all of that, and I'll see it when I see it.
I think another thing that is very unfortunate for this generation of nerds is they don't get to be surprised like we were as kids. We already know what to expect with literally everything. I click on Twitter today and there's a behind the scenes shot from Daredevil Born Again. I'm not even going to tell you guys what it was because it's like huge spoiler. And I was like, God, I feel bad for these kids because they don't know how to compartmentalize it at all. And like, for example, my dad wouldn't even watch movie trailers on TV in the 80s because he didn't want to go in with any expectations. He just wanted to go in, sit down, have an experience, be wowed or disappointed on his own. Like anytime a trailer for Terminator 2 would come on, he would leave the room because he was a huge fan and he didn't want it ruined for him. We do not have that luxury anymore. It's in your face. It's all the time. We're all even guilty of perpetuating it because it's part of what we do now.
True.
But it's getting out of hand. Like, I mean, Daredevil Born Again is not going to come out for a year or two. And I already know what's going to happen because it's all been released on Reddit, Tumblr, Twix, Facebook. It's literally everywhere. And it's unfortunate, you know, in a way it's unfortunate.
And I completely agree. That was one of the reasons why Phantom Menace, I was able to avoid it all. And I watched it without any bringing anything to the theater with me. And it was an awesome movie. And you just don't have that experience anymore. And it's especially doing what we do now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so of course this generation of fandom is going to be like, everything sucks, it's pointless, it's all dead because of the climate that we're in. I'm like, you don't even know, sit down. Like, don't talk to me about poor VFX. I remember Spawn. You don't even know how good you have it. Shh.
Mm-hmm.
It could be worse.
Mm-hmm.
We've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. Thoughts about we've got one more series out there that should be dropping hopefully this year, if not pushed to early next year, which is and I'm blanking on the name now.
Andor season 2?
No, not Rose's favorite show, but
you had to mention him. Let's see if he shows.
I know, right? No,
three times.
The Goonies in space.
Skeleton Crew. Okay.
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew, Skeleton
Bad
Crew.
news.
Yeah.
Kitties.
Mm-hmm.
Also, while I was there last year, the people that are working on that show were the ones I was talking to and or listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like it. And this was a year ago. They could have made a bunch of changes and stuff, but the people that were working on the show were like,
That's too bad.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're making me so sad right now.
Because I think that was the one I was looking forward to the most, honestly.
I'm hoping that things have changed. Again, this was a year ago. And what a lot of people don't understand, a lot of the fandom don't understand, is how quickly things change and how easily they can change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
look at Andor. Andor was supposed to be the sleeper show nobody expected, and look how well that did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have very easily said, look, guys, we've got a problem in our hands. We're losing them. We need to take this straight to video nonsense back and retool some things. They're doing it with Ironheart. It happens. They'll dump an entire, okay, I know we filmed like 6 episodes, but we need to redo this.
Right.
We need more money.
Well, I think one of the things I was looking forward to the most is because if you saw the leaked trailer for it, there was an Ortolan in coveralls walking around with the crew, and I was like a kid. Okay, I'm in. I want to see that. I want to see how that transpires. Rural Farm Boy did chime in on the Acolyte talk, and he said David's right. It'll be the Sith polking around with the Jedi without them knowing. So
polka.
So.
Like there's no beer in heaven, or
well, he said polkin. I think you know how Rural Farm Boy is. Polkin, probably meaning poking, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll even give it with the Marvel universe. The only thing besides Deadpool I'm excited to see is Blade.
Is that have they even gotten into production with Blade? Because I would.
Nope.
Yeah, not yet. As far as I heard, I know we're not supposed to talk about rumors and stuff. But the biggest rumor I've heard is we're going to see Wesley Snipes in Deadpool Wolverine.
Nope.
Rumors are this is going possibly is if maybe there'll be a um teaser for the new guy to take over down just to give like just get fans excited for the character. But again, it could be totally false,
Well,
right?
yeah, I hate to crush all your hopes and dreams, but Ryan Reynolds will not have Wesley Snipes in that movie. They do not get along.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes treated him like human gum stuck to the bottom of his shoe on Blade Trinity. And that's a non-starter for Ryan Reynolds. So Wesley Snipes is not in it. He may appear in Secret Wars, maybe because Ryan Reynolds isn't in charge of that one. But and I've not heard anything about him cameoing in the Blade movie. I can see Mahershala Ali being on all over that. Like, yeah, do it. But no, he's not showing up in Deadpool and Wolverine. If he is, it'll show like maybe a stand-in, like you won't see his face, and then Deadpool cuts his head off or something. it'll be something like that.
Okay, totally worth it. That'll be
totally worth it. But Mahershala Ali is another perfect casting in respect to him being a fan of the source material. And he has been extremely adamant. He's got a producer credit on it. So he's thrown out the script twice. That's why they keep pushing it back. But finally, he's like, look, the script is great. I love the script now. This is not why we're having to delay anymore. So
big shoes to fill, right? And we haven't seen Blade on TV in so long, right?
Oh, I know. I really hope Mahershala Ali pays his taxes to the United States government so we can keep seeing him on screen.
No kidding. There's a tie back. And if you don't get that one, you're too young. Geez, completely threw me off my next question. Okay. All right, so this is bringing it back to Star Wars universe. Complete speculation question, which is with Bad Batch wrapping up with season 3. Normally, we've had the fortunate luck that when one animation series comes to an end, something else is coming out, something else is on the horizon, and we've had a constant, steady stream of Star Wars animation, which has been great. They haven't announced anything in regards to what's coming after. And Danny, I love the fact that Danny's getting excited at this. So, speculation on what could be coming out for Star Wars animation.
Star Wars, what if? They're.
Yeah, I know there's been talk about that.
They're talking about it.
I think that's definitely coming.
Yeah, that's coming.
So here's a question on that. Does Star Wars need a what if series?
I don't think it needs it to survive, but it would be fun. I think it would be fun.
I absolutely agree with that. That's exactly what I would have said. Does it need it? No, but it'd be interesting. It'd be fun.
Do I need a red velvet cake pop? Probably not. Is it tasty and delicious? Show is.
Yes, it is.
All right. So what if would you like to see? And David, let's start with you. What's a what if you would like to see in the Star Wars universe?
Maybe what if Padme did survive? What if Anakin? What if in the Revenge of the Sith game all those years ago? What if Anakin killed Palpatine and took over the Empire? Right?
What if Padme became Darth Vader? What if we actually listen to the Legend source material and Leia is actually it's not Legend source material. It's the original trilogy or sequel trilogy that George Lucas, his notes that he sold to Disney, and they were like, toilet paper. Leia was supposed to be the leader of the Republic and end up being the true chosen one to bring balance to the Force in the universe. What if that?
That would be awesome.
That would be very cool. Scruffy.
What if Obi-Wan said, "No, I'm going back to my little hut on Tatooine, and I'm going to stay here"?
And I guess I would have to say, what if Boba Fett didn't die such a chump death in Return?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And then they made Patton Oswalt's fake fan script from Parks and Rec a
Yes.
reality.
Wouldn't that be
And then we see Boba Fett's head shoot up from the sand.
That's funny.
And then
It's
Boba Fett was born.
an awesome episode.
Rural Farm Boy says that we have Star Wars What If. It's called Star Wars Visions.
Except
True.
those
That's
are
true.
all canon. Those are like all in the same universe. They're just different parts of the universe. Star Wars What If would be like Elseworlds, parallel universes, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
One thought I had, and I funny enough, mentioning Ro earlier, I sent this over to Ro because they had a conversation about What If, and on his last Quick Cuts episode, and I thought it would be kind of fun. You know, do we want them to model it exactly like Marvel is doing their What If? I thought it would be kind of fun if they went to some of the creators in the Star Wars universe, some of the actors, some of the storytellers, and they said you had like for instance, you had a Natalie Portman's What If Padme had survived, you know, or you had Ming-Na Wen's What If Nick Fury and Mace Windu meet in the multiverse, you know, or
You don't ask the actors to come up with their scripts. Come on.
not to just come up with
Anarchy.
just come up with the concept, and the storytellers can take it from there. But I just thought, you know, it'd be a different twist. Or my favorite would be, I'd love to see a Pablo Hidalgo What If, just because his depth of knowledge in the Star Wars universe is so deep. What would his mind come up with? I thought would be really fun. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what if? What if, you know, the Vuzan Vlam War was the sequel trilogy, not the one we got, right? We can actually see Luke Skywalker with his powers, his true powers.
God, you remember when you were watching the Mando season 2 finale and Luke shows up? Like, I stood up. It was like, yes, this is the sequel we wanted.
Yeah.
This is what we wanted. What's wrong with you?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we had somebody on the show. We talked about that, and it was, or I think it was DB that said that was the sequel stuff that we were wanting, that the old school fans wanted to see
So
when
I
we
really
got the
am
sequel
filling in
trilogy.
for him.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, you are.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely are. So cool. Any other question or any other comments about Star Wars that anybody'd like to throw out there?
I do want to say one thing. We all saw the thing that Star Wars Theory put out with that weird co-host guest or whatever he had. That chick had on so much makeup, like she makes me look dainty. I don't know how else to put that, but for her to sit there and say we don't need more women in Star Wars, women don't even like Star Wars. I'm like, listen, women like Star Wars. Everyone likes Star Wars. If they don't like Star Wars, don't trust that person. You don't need that. They're untrustworthy. They're a liar. So everyone likes Star Wars. There, I've said it.
There you go.
Excellent. Well said.
Aren't we supposed to be getting this Tales of the Jedi season 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
Is that coming out? Is that coming out after the Acolyte?
we're supposed to.
I'm hoping they do a May 4th drop. That would be kind of cool because I think they dropped the last one on May 4th, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe so.
Who do you think? Who's going to be the Jedi? Do you think they'll do stories on?
I read that I just can't remember. I don't know. I know at some point I did know one of the Jedi they were going to cover, and now I'm like, oh, I don't remember now. So
I completely ignored everything about it. I want to go see it for the first time without any knowledge of it.
I would love to, and this was before we got the Bad Batch trailer, but I would have loved to have seen one, obviously, Balin Skull. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yes.
And you can tell so much more of his story because all you have to do is find a good voice actor. And the other story I thought would be fun would be a Quinlan Voss.
Yes.
And I would love to see them have fun with where he was on like a covert mission on Tatooine during Phantom Menace, and that actually was him sitting there in the background. But he couldn't interact because of his secret mission. And then another one would be just another Clone Wars adventure, which would be cool. They could tie into kind of the Dark Disciple book a little bit. There's some I like him in the Dark Disciple book. It's given me a better perspective on him because he did a lot of undercover stuff. And then the final story I would love to see, because they do like the little 3 stories, would be his interaction with the whole Underground Railroad thing that we saw in Kenobi.
I love. They could do a whole series about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That would be epic.
I would watch that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would like. Wouldn't it be wild if they did a Tales of the Jedi on Yaddle?
Oh,
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be
one of the most disappointing things is she doesn't talk like Yoda. Like, what the heck? What the heck?
Apparently, it's just Yoda's way of talking.
Yeah.
So as I said, Yoda's been messing with us this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was one thing in Legends, I think I read somewhere on Wikipedia, that he was mimicking the style of his master.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who
do you think we'll ever
either that or he's just being a smartass? So
yeah, I'm leaning more towards that.
The longest prank in history
ever.
1,000-year-old prank. Oh no, I was just messing with you. Many times.
Do you think we'll ever get a Tales with the Sith?
Ooh,
that would be fun.
Tales probably will if the Tales of the Jedi keep being as successful as it has been.
Wow,
I can see them wanting to, capitalize on that.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be your first three?
Oh, Vader. Of course they would do Vader, and then they do Dooku. No, we've already done Dooku because he was a Jedi.
Dooku.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they do Palps. They do Grandpappy Palps hard. That came out really weird. I should have said it like that.
Grandpappy Palps.
Or do you want to see him in live action? It's like an origin story, or would you rather see him in anime or live action?
Why can't we have both?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
There's too much of making nerds have to choose one or the other. That we live in a very technologically advanced society. There's no reason why we can't. Why can't we have both? That just bothers me.
We almost did the Rise of Skywalker, right? We almost had Matt Smith doing Palpatine, right? Wasn't that the big rumor?
Yeah.
Lord in heaven.
Or he's gonna play his clone son. Or something.
Matt Smith returned.
Yeah, I really liked how Dooku's Tales of the Jedi really accented the character. It really brought such more depth to that role in live action, I thought.
I can't ever call him Dooku with a straight face because it just sounds like poo poo.
Yes.
Me. It's Count Poo Poo. And by the way, Scruffy, your call sign is literally poop. Round 2. Brown number 2.
Well, there's.
So, we actually have a funnier one than that, and we were going to tell you guys this in just a few minutes towards the end of the episode. But being on the show, you guys are both going to become honorary members of the crew, and so you're going to get your own call signs and your own Brown designations. But one of our former guests actually. And I didn't plan it this way, but he picked up on it when I gave it to him. and he was the perfect person to give this to, but he became Brown 22. So he was like, really, you're making me Brown Double Deuce. And
Oh.
so, but yeah, no, Tales of the Jedi. Any other thoughts on that story? Or I would love to see a Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Would be there's
Yeah.
a lot you could mine right there. Easy.
Hard agree.
Easy.
I want more Cad Bane after Boba Fett.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You could do a whole Western style show with bounty hunters. I mean, since that's really, where it comes out of.
Just leave Timothy Oliphant out of it, please. That man looks like he's about to pass out. Like, he really looks like he's about to just fall over. Him in that Boba Fett armor. He looks like a skeleton these days. Like,
he did a little bit. Yeah, he needs about 20 pounds of muscle to pack on. And
bro, do you need help?
He was good in Hitman.
All right. Okay. So to wrap up, to kind of round off the Star Wars, if you, I know we would all jump at the chance to appear in a Star Wars if we could. So if you could choose the type of character you would play in a Star Wars, what would you want to play? And Scruffy, let's start with you.
I want to be a stormtrooper.
What?
Okay.
I don't know. I've always loved the stormtrooper.
Death Wish.
The red shirts of Star Wars.
There you go.
The red shirts of Star Wars. Absolutely. Even as a kid, I thought the stormtroopers were cool. So
you just said your motto was you like to see your target so you can aim key on it.
No, I said that was a good philosophy.
Oh, okay. So if that's a good motto, explain to me. God bless you.
No, it was just
All
one
right.
of my favorite characters when I was growing up.
Danny, what would you want to play?
Oh, I'm just gonna piss off everybody. A gray Jedi.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, I get a lot of Star Wars fans saying there's no such thing. Like Freddie Prinze Jr. lost his mind on an interview. Like, there's no such thing. Star Wars is for children, you plebes. Like, he was just dumb about it. But I think a gray Jedi makes absolute sense in the concept of the Force. Like, it is true balance. So, kind of like Ahsoka. Ahsoka is a gray Jedi in all respects. So, just a really crabby, tired, needs to pee gray Jedi. That would be me.
Until she fights the Balrog and becomes Ahsoka the White. Right.
Yeah.
Are they teasing that could be a thing too in the future?
Mm-hmm. And we're open to all thoughts and concepts here because, like Scruffy and I especially, we grew up in the era, we grew up during the dark times and all we had was headcanon, know? And so
we had 3 movies, a couple Ewok things, and the holiday special.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all we had was headcanon, and we would take the stories and expand upon them and twist them and create. And I think that's a vital part of Star Wars that a lot of people, especially the younger generations, haven't had a chance to experience because they've had so much content, and they're coming into a pre-existing universe, whereas we had before and after, and it I don't know.
They haven't experienced having their fans embraced by the IP like Star Trek does with its fandom. So I really think, I keep saying it, but it's because it's true. Star Wars needs to embrace its fandom in a much more physical way to be able to move forward successfully. Honestly, I mean, that is one of the greatest things about Star Wars is that when it came out, when we were growing up, the only way you got to see it when it came out as a movie was at the theater. You had to pay to continue to see it over and over again. And then it wasn't until 10 or so years later when you could like legitimately afford to own a copy of it and rewatch it at home. Headcanon really was all we had, the daydreams, the stories we made up when we were playing with the toys. Star Wars needs to not only acknowledge that concept, but embrace it and use it in order to save the franchise and move forward.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I asked, do we need a what if? Because we've been doing it for 40 years, with
Maybe we
headcanon.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
David, David, you're who would you play in a Star Wars?
I'd almost want a badass Inquisitor.
Ooh.
Somebody, a cool looking Inquisitor, not covered up. Obviously, don't want my face covered up. I want to be seen on a camera, right? But I always want to play a Jedi. I want to put on that costume just once. But a badass looking Inquisitor will look pretty cool.
Not a green mist one that just farts in the wind when he gets cut open.
Oh, but that dude had some cool armor.
He did.
I mean, that
was pretty cool.
knight helmet visor. Oh, that was just dope.
So cool little trivia bit, and I posted this on Twix a couple weeks ago, which was reading that Dark Disciple book. Embo, the bounty hunter, has a pet, and its name is Marak. And I was like,
Ooh.
interesting. Yeah, but no, that's very cool. Yeah, an Inquisitor would be and hopefully a longer lifespan than Clancy Brown's in Tales of the Jedi. So although that was a badass scene for Ahsoka, I gotta say, her handling that Inquisitor was total badassery without a doubt.
I love Ahsoka.
Yeah, they didn't even use the Inquisitor as good in Kenobi either.
No, yeah, they were weak in Kenobi, I gotta say. Other than Vader's, I did like Vader's scene where he manhandles Reva without even pulling out his lightsaber. I thought that was a pretty cool tidbit. If I was going to be on a Star Wars, obviously, I think I'd have to be a Mandalorian.
Nice.
That Scruffy can tell you. That would be my jam. So, well, very cool. Any other thoughts? We've had you guys on for well over an hour and a half. So we appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. So, we want to thank you.
Question, David, do you have anything coming up that you can talk about?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
All right.
No, the answer is no. He cannot talk.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fair enough.
We
He
figured,
is not the werewolf.
Try anyway.
Well, when you are able to talk about it, you have an open invitation to come back on the show anytime you want to, and definitely plug your projects. And it's been really good to meet you, Danny. I know your most recent episode has been a Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, which definitely is my Wonder Woman from back in the day, and so I haven't watched it yet, but that's definitely on my watch list to get to. So, so very cool. David, let's go ahead and plug your socials so everybody knows where to find you.
So Instagram, find me at actor Damon86 official. Twitter, I think it's Damon's. I think it's the same thing on Twitter as well too. And Threads. One more, I'm always open for good chats, and just find me. That's usually my stories is where I post everything. But feel free to follow me and continue the voyages.
Very cool. Yeah, I did catch that the one reel you had on there today of the Mustang commercial that you did back in 2000. And I meant to ask, were you channeling your James Bond in that commercial?
I was channeling actually my Nicolas Cage Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay. All right. Scruffy, he does. If you go to his Instagram, he's got a reel on there where he did a commercial for the 2018 Mustang Bullet edition.
Oh.
And
it's check that out.
Very fun commercial to watch.
It was just a video that they were doing at the Toronto International Auto Show back then, and it was because of the Bullet release Mustang. But so they were doing it in Toronto. I think it was Detroit as well too. But it was my first time really in front of a camera, so I was a bit nervous, but it was fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
Danny, tell everybody where they can find you.
Anywhere. If there is a social media platform, all you have to do is type in comics and cosmetics, and you'll see this. I'll be there. I always joke that I'm like a really horrible venereal disease. It's everywhere and you can't get rid of me. I upload videos on YouTube. I do a nerdy news, like I cover all the headlines and stuff and everything nerddom a couple times a month. And I do a breakdown video at least once a month, either a character or a comic or a story arc or what have you. I usually break that down while I'm doing my makeup at the same time. But this last video was kind of important to me. It's the first like true opinion piece I've ever done. I was honestly terrified to upload it because I didn't want to deal with backlash because I'm old and I don't have the energy for that anymore. I don't like arguing with kids, okay? I know more than you do. Just accept that and shush. But it's my latest video, my first opinion piece. It's really about what Linda Carter's Wonder Woman in 1975 could teach us today, teach what is missing from modern women superheroes. So that one I felt like it was too important to me to not give my full undivided attention to the camera and the script that I had to read. So
very cool. Very cool. I will admit that when I was I watched that show back when it first aired back in the day. And even as a little kid, I would then run outside and pretend that I had the wrist guards to deflect bullets, because how cool of a concept was that?
It's right there.
So Scruffy, there you go, Scruffy. You can bring that up on me anytime you want to.
Oh my word! I am so glad I stuck around.
I'm a little bit of a Wonder Woman fan.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh, there's so much material you've just given me.
Oh, bring it on, bring it on. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, for coming on the show, both of you are now honorary members of Brown Squadron. So with that, you get a flight designation and a call sign. And you guys are also, both of you are welcome to come back on the show anytime you want. You got an open invitation to come back on. David, you are now Brown 39. And your call sign is Shuff. And what that... where that comes from is, let's see if I can pronounce it's Legends. We pull all of our information off Wikipedia. Peleus Shuff was an actor in the Star Wars universe in Legends. And he was a male actor during the reign of the Galactic Republic. Since childhood, his passion was specifically pretending to be a hero. He was a shorter person. He had a small height, and his claim to fame was he played Yoda in his one-man play Jedi. And then in Legends, he also ended up going on adventures where people thought he was Yoda, and he was attacked by Ventress. But Brown 39 and Shuff. And then Danny, you are now Brown 40. And your call sign is Bliss, which of course comes from Zori Bliss. I thought her character was a good representation of what you put out there in terms of being your own person, a strong, independent woman, and speaking their mind and doing their thing. So.
And I can still make sandwiches.
Still make sandwiches, right? But yeah, thank you both of you for coming on the live stream today. It's been a wonderful conversation. And like I said, anytime, David, when you got your next project and you can talk about it, let us know. Come on back on, and we'd love to have you back and talk more about what you're doing. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
So I think with that, we're going to get out of here. Like I said, thanks for coming on. If you want to get a hold of Brown Squadron Hyperspace Heroes, just get a hold of us on any of our socials. Twix, I'm calling it that from now on. It's Twix.
Thank Blake at Dork Wars for that. He's the one who came up with it.
There we go. Twix, Facebook, Instagram. You can DM us. You can also email us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. And then, yeah, let's get out of here. So this is Brown Leader signing off for the crew, and you have been watching and listening to Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
Oh, we're supposed to say that together.
That's okay. We didn't tell you guys about that.